Welcome to Ride to Success, the podcast that takes you on a learning journey to a more productive, creative, and active life. In the podcast, I explore cycling's global trends, community needs, and innovative business strategies. In this episode of the Ride to Success podcast, I have the privilege of chatting to Monika Sattler, a remarkable figure whose journey from professional cycling to becoming a world record holder and an influential mindset coach encapsulates the essence of perseverance, innovation, and success. Monika's story is not just about her athletic endeavors, but also her courageous leap into mindset coaching, where she leverages her experiences to inspire others to break out of their comfort zones and achieve their dreams. Join me in this learning journey as I delve into Monika's inspiring journey, exploring her innovative 6P success mindset model and the life-changing challenges she's undertaking to redefine what it means to be successful. But before we get into the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, please remember to subscribe and follow wherever you listen to this podcast. It helps me to grow it, and I'll be forever grateful. Now, back to the podcast. Welcome, Monika, to Ride Success. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Pedro, for inviting me.
This is my pleasure. Let's talk about what everyone is afraid to talk about. Failure, purpose in life, mistakes, success. You have said in the past, people stay in their comfort zones because they are afraid of failure. So let's talk about failure. And before we get into like the full, let's analyze all of this. Let's kind of take a few steps back and look at a bit of your background. Can you please share a little bit with us how you first started cycling, how you fell into the sport, because you have tried and you have done other sports in the past. So just share with us a little bit of how you started cycling.
Sure. First of all, really, thank you very much for the invitation and talking about cycling. It's always good to talk about it. I think it started 15 years ago or so. And I came from volleyball and did other sports, adventure racing beforehand. And then there was a friend who handed me a bike and said, Monika, you should ride a road bike. And I was thinking it's pretty boring, probably just a road along the road. And he invited me though to a 50-kilometer group ride. And I thought, so what fit, no problem. And I joined this group ride. Okay. And 5 kilometers later, I was dropped back out in the back. And I was like, no, I cannot stop the sport like this. I will show up to this group ride until I can make those 50K with the group. That was my start.
It does show so much about perhaps the personality that you have. It's just kind of determination at 100% wherever you do. So like you have started, you have obviously to a bit of context for people listening. You have done volleyball at university. So you were an athlete. So you had the stamina. You had done, like you said, adventure sports. You have always been kind of somehow into sports. Is that correct?
Totally. Yeah. Sport always is part of my life.
Is there a particular connection you have with sport? Is there something that through doing cycling, through doing other sports, you get out of it?
Whoa, that's a big question. But I feel like I grew up with sports. My parents were athletes themselves. Okay. So for me, sport was natural. So there was not really that I was looking for a purpose. Sport was just part of like breathing, and you're doing sports too. So, but in every sport, I found some sort of thing what I got out of it. And volleyball was the team sport, the team spirit. In cycling, it was also team, and that's why actually the reasoning why I want to stick with that 50 kilometer with a group, because I didn't like the feeling getting dropped. I want to be part of this group. That was what got me into showing up every time. Also the feeling of freedom and discovering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's I don't know if it is the same, but I'll say it now. Is that when you give a bike to a kid, you're giving them the freedom. You're giving them the freedom to explore. And that's I guess that's if there is any when you boil it down, that's the freedom that you're talking about. Perhaps you just being able to go somewhere to explore,
Definitely,
discovering new places. So I mean, but kind of you have enjoyed it so much that you have pursued a career as a professional cyclist. So can you just talk us a little bit about how did you from that 50K the road ride to becoming a professional cyclist? How did that happen? What was the progression, the journey?
Yeah. So I lived in DC at that point, Washington DC, and I joined that group ride, and then I realized I don't like the feeling of getting dropped, and to stick with that 50-kilometer group ride, I realized I had to maybe join also other group rides. So, and it was always the same feeling. No matter what group ride I joined, I wanted to just be part of the group. I didn't want to win or I didn't want to sprint or whatever. I just want to be part of this group. And since the groups were mostly men and they were racing elite, that meant I had to really push really hard to stick with that group. And that got me fast quite quickly. So it was no structure or anything else, but just that wanting to stick with that group. And I think 1.5 years later, I was at a level, I was racing at that point, the national races already, like I was a category 1 highest level before the professional level in the States. And then there was the question, okay, I'm racing now in the United States, the big races, but I'm actually German. Shouldn't I be going to Europe and try racing there in the first Bundesliga, in the first league? And I went to Germany, quit my job, went to Germany, tried to be, all the professional cyclists, realized within 3 months, that's not at all what I wanted. And for me, that was because that's how you started this podcast. I first felt like failure. Giving up a huge career. I was working for the World Bank to that time for becoming a poor professional cyclist, only to realize after 3 months, that's not at all what I want.
Interesting. Like, it does sound you were trying to pursue a dream, and you will touch this later on in our conversation, but you are pursuing this dream and you believed in yourself to do it, but then the reality of it was that yes, you're coming massive step down from your previous job at the World Bank to like a very little salary, and then the realities of competing. Was that because so the struggle there of the not realizing that this was not for you, was it because the spirit of the community, the spirit of riding together, that was no longer present because it was just competition, kind of dog eats dog kind of scenario?
You hit it exactly. For me, what I realized later on, what I didn't realize while I was doing it, that I loved cycling because of the community, because of the spirit of just being together, and then here and there doing a sprint. But at the end of the day, everyone has a coffee together. And then all of a sudden I was standing, the Amstel Gold Race. That was basically the highest race which I've raced. And it was very competitive. Of course, I was not at all at the level of like the best racers there, but still there were so many factors which I didn't enjoy. It was aggressive in that sense. I was not a good descender, which also kept me away, and then I got dropped on the descent. And the accidents, carbon hitting pavement, hurt too many times.
It's not fun. It's not fun. I've experienced myself, and well, I can't imagine how it is at a pro level, but even at my level, which is group rides, club rides, is not fun. So I guess I wanted to perhaps kind of understand. So you reached this point where you decided, well, this is not for me. What happens after that? How does it, because you step down from a major career opportunity. What happens after that? Because it's just for many people that would be like soul crushing. Realizing that the dream that you are pursuing, it doesn't work for you. So what happened for you?
Yeah. So I must add too that my family, friends, and all the people around me said, Monika, you should stay with a tax-free career at the World Bank instead of becoming a professional cyclist. There's no career in it anyway. You can't do it for your life. And I did it. And then I realized, very quickly that I didn't enjoy it. And for me, it was, using your words, soul crushing. It was a huge failure because for me, my life was sports. And here I was actually thinking that this is how I now pursue my career in sports and can combine my passion with my job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I realized though, it took me a while. I realized it was not cycling per se that I didn't enjoy. So I thought I was actually questioning the entire sport of cycling at that moment. I was like, maybe I should do a different sport. But I realized competitive cycling is only one part of cycling. And especially now, since Corona, we see how many ways we can enjoy cycling.
Exactly.
And I realized, okay, maybe it's not the competitive part. I can keep riding my bike and I study sports. And that was basically my solution, to still pursue a career in sports, but maybe not on that competitive level.
Okay. So we seem to be building brick by brick the path that Monika took in the life, which is good. Actually, plays very well into the aspect of failing, and like leaning into that, the aspect that you need to accept that failure is a possibility.
Yeah. In fact, actually, my lesson learned from that experience was also years later, not at that very moment. I'm so happy that I did it and tried, because the worst thing would happen now is looking back and think, how would it have been if I tried? I think that feeling is way worse than tried and failed.
Exactly. Well, it very nicely ties in with what you say. People stay in their comfort zone because they are afraid of failure. So I guess that plays into the fact that you need to take the risk, you need to take the leap. Starting something new, takes courage, but you need to believe in yourself, because that you are the first person that is investing in yourself, and then take the first step into, well, perhaps the unknown. So I kind of okay, so we are at the stage where you have decided to step away from being a professional cyclist, but also still be involved in the sport. And I kind of wanted just now slightly to, for the sake of time, I just want to condense slightly your career path. And can you just, for the sake of people and listening, to understand a bit of your journey, what happened once you finished professional cycling?
Sure. So I went back to the States and studied sports at the University of Minnesota with a big goal to find my dream job in sports. Didn't find it. My family and friends said, Monika, now you have tried a lot of different things. Maybe you should get on the path back and do like a real job. And I applied, because I didn't have an alternative in sports. I applied for any real job what is out there, and I became actually a management consultant for a consultant firm. First in Switzerland, then in Australia, and then with 30, I had like a midlife crisis, I always say, because it was an interesting experience, that consulting job, but it was not my passion. And and I was 30, I was sitting there still wondering what I professionally want to do with my life. I just didn't want to do any job and only enjoying weekend to weekend. I want to wake up on Monday morning saying, awesome, I love my job. Yeah, but I did not know what that is. Then just quickly, I quit everything, went to Spain, to move to Spain, because that's where I decided I can ride. It's the best country to ride my bike, and discovering and finding my answer to my question. And I found that there are so many people actually in a similar position than me, just were scared of getting outside their comfort zone to pursuing their goals. And that became my mission. To inspire, empower others to get outside their comfort zone, to reach their full potential and really do that what they love doing. And because my CV is let's say, non-linear. I was looking for something more clearly which shows what it means to go for big goals and really going for something maybe that seems impossible. So I set my first cycling record with the Vuelta a España when I was the first woman riding the Tour of Spain at the same day as the male professionals, just hours beforehand.
Yeah, that's
2018.
Well, that in it itself, we need to unpack that a bit more, because that is in itself a big thing. So, but we need to unpack that a bit more. But before we get into that, I just want to understand. You mentioned this midlife crisis in your 30s. I believe it was in Australia, and then you decided to move to Spain. And I'm thinking, how do you make from a consultant management, how do you make the leap into kind of a mindset coach?
Yeah, which I actually mentioned that all happened in Spain. When I made that leap to go to Spain, seeing that there's so many people out there who are in the same or similar position in me, and I wanted to help them, because there was one thing I did what they didn't do. I had the courage to get outside the comfort zone and to pursue my goals, and were not scared of failure and of those challenges, and learned through the entire way, going through around the globe, realizing what it means to go for, taking the courage to do whatever you want to do.
So I guess now perhaps is a good time to give the listeners a bit of context, because I think we need to roll the time back a few decades, because when you were 18, you moved from Germany to the US to study, to do your bachelor's degree, and I think this is a pivotal moment, perhaps in your life. Correct me if I'm wrong, because this perhaps sets the precedent in enabling you then in your 30s to have the courage to inspire other people that were stuck in the same way you were, in a career that they didn't like. So I think that's an important connection to make. Wouldn't you agree?
I say it's the same like cycling or training a muscle. Courage is not just there or not there, existent or not existent. It's about training it. And it's about taking small little steps outside the comfort zone, and they're becoming bigger and bigger, those steps, and all of a sudden you find yourself moving to a different country. This doesn't happen from like this. Sure, there are people who would just cold cut and go for a different place, but most people need to experience beforehand what it means to be outside your comfort zone. Then to be able to have that courage to do something like moving to a different country.
So with the journey that you started when you moved to Spain, you wanted to inspire people, and the one of the ways you found to do that was through challenging yourself, to show other people and to inspire other people that it was possible to do something that many would think is completely impossible. What I wanted to try and understand, when you were thinking of setting yourself the challenge of riding the Vuelta a España in 2018 ahead of the men's race, was this with the intention of inspire other people that were afraid of doing something new, or trying something new, of changing careers, or just being out of their comfort zone?
Sure, definitely. Both of the cycling challenges, because I've done one and also just recently, both of them are to inspire others to go outside their comfort zone, to see what it means to do something big, maybe even seemingly impossible. And I remember actually before the Vuelta, 80% of the people thought, Monika, a nice try. How many days do you think you can last? That was the question, not do I see in Madrid, but how many days can you make? And not really proving them wrong, because that was not my mission, but more showing like, hey, if you believe in something, go for it. And even if you don't make it, there are so many successes along the way, so many things I learned. I mean, I've seen so many great places in Spain. That already was a huge success in creating such a project. Often we always see all the things we could lose along the way instead of what we are already succeeding before we reaching actually our goal.
Okay, so with that in mind, what were the lessons that you have learned through completing completing the Vuelta a España? What were the lessons that you learned from that experience?
One is creating the project really from idea to execution. There was 21 days, right, from planning everything, all the stages, getting the accreditation from the organization that I can do the last kilometer. Then I had one person who's driving behind me, so there was a lot of
logistics involved,
planning,
managing a team.
Exactly. Learning speaking better Spanish, because all of a sudden I had to do interviews for the big national TV stations. So there was a lot of things where I just grew from the experiences, not just the cycling itself.
Yeah, exactly. No, of course. Yeah, I think that's one of the main takeaways is that kind of through setting yourself that challenge, you are learning many other things from the logistics, from managing a team, because you are the person at the front leading, but you have a whole team behind you supporting you and making sure you are successful in that. Were you at any stage afraid of failing
beforehand? That's the same like with the second cycling record too, when I was riding all the 124 Swiss passes passes in 26 days. The main fear of failure was actually beforehand, when it didn't start yet, where it was build up of a lot of emotions, a lot of expectations, pressure. That is where I had the most fear. But when it started, I was so into it, so into the flow, and there were so many things to do to make it happen that I was not even thinking about if it could fail or not.
Yeah, you get into the zone. I wouldn't be able to relate because it's just so I can relate to the experience that you go through, and the challenge that is presented to complete all of those 21 stages, but it's there's so much more than the physical pain, the psychological turmoil of having to go through the pressure of having to complete the stage every day. I think that experience perhaps makes you a different human at the end of it. Did you feel a change in kind of your outlook in life, or the kind of the mindset? Was there any noticeable change in your kind of how you saw things?
You definitely become like, there's certain things right now which before the challenge I would have get worried about. Afterwards you're like, whatever, things will fall into place. It's all good. So I think you're becoming more chilled about stuff because you realize there are certain things you learn to grow from it, and you will deal with it however it comes.
Yeah. So I'm just curious as well that when you set yourself this challenge, and I mean you mentioned as well all the 124 Swiss pass challenge that we'll discuss in a minute. Did you set yourself to achieve a world record? Was that something part of the plan?
No, actually not at all, because when I started the challenge, I didn't even know that I would be the first woman doing that. Somewhere in the middle, someone said to me, Monika, you do know you're the first one. So it was not planned at all. I just wanted to do something which would make me a little bit nervous standing at the start line. I want to do something where I'm like pushing my own boundaries, where I'm not sure if I can make it or not.
Interesting. I guess it says about like the character of you as a person, wanting to push yourself outside what many people would think is the normal. Do you find that you choose to take a different path? So whether when you're setting challenges, or when you're trying to think about how to deliver keynote speeches? How, are you thinking of a different way of talking and communicating with people?
In what way? Different way?
I mean, because you are using these challenges to inspire women, to inspire leaders into leaning into what makes them uncomfortable, so that they can push themselves beyond what they know or what they feel is possible. So my question is, do you feel like you have this need to push yourself out of your comfort zone as a kind of as a role model, use yourself as a role model to other people?
No, I don't put myself under pressure, if that is your question. So for me, all the challenges are passion projects of mine. They are not just higher, faster, longer. It's more like, hey, sounds pretty cool. I think I want to try it. And it's also very practical. The Vuelta I was fascinated by the race and how awesome is it to ride it beforehand. So there was also, like, for me, it needs to be the whole mindset topic will come in that place. It's something where you have to have a strong reason why you're doing something like this. Like with the second challenge, the 124 Swiss Passes challenge, I live in Switzerland. At that point when I did it, it was not clear yet if there will be another Corona lockdown. Just imagine, Corona.
Yes.
And so I did something which also practical terms. I want to do something within Switzerland. So if there was a lockdown, that I don't have to cross borders. So all of them, but I was also like tired of just doing nothing in that sense and not pushing my boundaries. So that was my playground, Switzerland. So I came up with that idea.
You mentioned that it was kind of a passion project. Were there any other motives to do it, such as break a world record or build a business out of it?
Well, both of the cycling challenges are part of my project, of my missions, of inspiring others, motivating, getting outside the comfort zone. And that is also my professional work now. Through coaching, consulting, online courses. I do that now with individuals, leaders, as you mentioned, also teams. And oftentimes cycling, most people can relate to in one way or the other. And so it is a very nice way to explain more complex topics to like a larger audience. Plus, it's not getting boring. I show nice pictures. So it's also entertaining in a way, right? So I tell in the stories of all the challenges along the way. So people feel like they can connect with the story. And then still apply the things they see through the cycling challenge in their own lives, private or professionally.
Yeah. Yeah, when the power of storytelling is massive, and when you are able to do it through challenges that seem beyond the human capabilities, but still within reach. Hence the fact that you have broken 2 world records in the process of completing this challenge. So it shows that there is a great deal of preparation, a great deal of physical ability as well. And resilience, obviously. I kind of wanted to now kind of bring you into the 6 Ps model of success mindset that you created. Can you please elaborate on it and just explain how this is usable to people taking on challenges or just becoming a better version of themselves?
When I realized when I moved to Spain that some people or a lot of people are scared to get outside the comfort zone, to have the courage to pursue something, I tried to find a pattern why maybe I would be doing them and maybe some people not. And through experience, I realized that there are certain factors which help to pursue goals, and not only goals, but also fulfilling goals. And that's how I combined them in those 6 P success mindset model. The 6 Ps are the 6 key factors, which all start with a P, which I believe are really essential to set and pursue goals.
Okay, so for the people that don't know, like 6P models relies on finding the purpose, the potential, power, perspective, people, and path. Can you elaborate how these 6Ps work together. So let's say I want to set myself like a cycling challenge. At the moment, I'm not prepared physically to do it. Perhaps riding a big event in France.
Okay.
How would I use these 6Ps?
Yeah. So the first P is purpose. There I'd ask you, why are you doing it actually? Why are you doing the cycling race? And so knowing the reasons for that, why you're doing it. And I think that is also the basis. The stronger that why is, the easier it will be to overcome any hurdles and problems along the way. So know your why for that cycling race. The second P is potential, knowing and using your strength. So if you're a climber and it's a climbing race, then you're using in that sense already your strength. In that sense, it's pretty obvious as a cyclist because everyone has a little bit of feeling of what their strengths are, but the strength could be also that someone is very structured and needs a structured training plan versus someone else like me. It's not structured at all. So matching basically the training also with your strength. The next P is power. That means taking responsibility and going actively for it. And that means also saying no to things so that you can train to do the cycling race, to take the responsibility for nutrition, for the training to successfully then go through that cycling race. The fourth P is perspective, seeing the big picture, but keeping that focus. And that means, don't get distracted by other things, other sports, I don't know, so that you keep that focus for the training, for example, to go for the cycling race. The second to last P is people. Surround yourself with people who truly believe in you and your mission. So maybe having a training partner who can train them with you. Also having people around you who even they don't know about cycling, but they support you. They want to make sure that you also succeed in that cycling race. And last but not least, the last P is path, creating a motivating and reachable path to get there. So let's say it's a huge cycling race. I'm just saying 500 kilometers or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
How can you create a training plan so that this 500 kilometers doesn't seem overwhelming first? The training plan itself already creates small little bits and pieces, but that helps to break it down. And all of a sudden, even such a big race, when you break it down to good training amounts, make it achievable.
I think it's a very good way of I can correct me if I'm wrong, of breaking it down and a large objective, so that you can almost make it into a puzzle that you are able to put piece by piece together, and as each piece has a specific meaning and a specific place into making you get from A to B, and whether that is applies in business, in any aspect of your career, or in sporting achievements or challenges.
You can see it almost like it's a checkup list. In that sense, am I fulfilling all the 6 P's right now to go for this goal? If you fail in, I'm not a big fan of the word failure because it always means something bad, but sometimes it's also something good in that sense. But if you don't reach a goal, is maybe one of those 6 P's missing. The 6 P's also help to keep motivated. So if you have lack of motivation, could any of those 6 P's missing? So there are certain things which those 6 P's actually answer in regards to courage, motivation, resilience.
Yeah. I'm just curious as well. How did you develop this model? Was it through your own experience of setting yourself the challenges? How did you come to these 6 P's?
So one of them, of course, is my own experience, but then I have, I think, over 500 coaching sessions also around all goal setting on goal pursuit. So I see, of course, quite a few patterns coming out of those conversations that all getting into those 6 P's.
Okay, so with the 6 P's success mindset model that you built, speaking to for instance, the podcast is, as at the moment, reaches a lot of people in the cycling industry, a lot of cycling enthusiasts. How would they be able to use it?
The first question I would ask is, oh, what is for you success? Number one, and then why you want to go for it. And then all the other pieces come to it. So most, especially corporations, teams, when they come to me, it's mostly a lack of motivation.
Okay.
Identify where does that come from, and then work on it, how to stay or get more motivated. And that is also in regards to cycling, training, when you're having a little low because it's raining outside and cold, as right now. I don't know about you in London, but how can you stay motivated? It's sunny.
Yes, I know. We swapped the weathers here.
Yeah.
Okay. The question I'm going to ask is that I don't mean to say that I know I don't know the struggles that women face in the workplace, in the cycling, in male-dominated workplaces, but I'm just curious. Is there a way of, through using kind of your success mindset model, to perhaps overcome barriers that women face in the workplace?
Pedro, it is a very broad question in that sense.
Okay.
Of it would have to be specific, but what I can tell you is there are a lot of challenges in that sense. It's systematic, but then also maybe as a woman, maybe there's a lack of self-confidence. So that would be the first question, like what kind of specific challenge is there? The 6P success mindset model definitely can help you to ask also the right questions. In that sense, am I using currently my strength in my job? Is there anything, or are there certain people around me who can help me in a male-dominated man? Do I have supporters who can help me with my career to be successful? So that can help to be successful. But then again, what is successful?
Well, through the conversations I have been having with several of my guests, it can be anything. Success, it varies from person to person. It's very personal.
Yeah. In fact, actually, Pedro, I'm writing currently a book about exactly that. It's written, the title is "Because Success is Not What You Think." Because it cannot be answered in one sentence.
Very good.
Yeah.
When is the book going to be released?
July. The only thing, Pedro, just now would be the time to learn a little bit German for that, because it's only in German. But hey, good goal for it.
So you, from the challenge, from the Volta a España, you wrote a book called "Making Dreams Come True," and the kind of that book is a testament to the journey and the lessons that you've learned through that challenge. So for the people listening to our conversation, and they're perhaps chasing their dreams, what one piece of advice would you give to them?
Think big, but act small. So have a big dream, however big you want to have it, but start so small that you don't feel you can't start at all. Often people think so big and it seems overburdening, so they don't start at all. The most important thing is actually to start. And to start, make it as easy as possible.
Very good. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. It's sometimes you can feel paralyzed by an idea that you want to do, but you don't know where to start. But from what the lesson you've shared is, choose something that can be easily done, and then just build on that. Like perhaps like the analogy that I mentioned about the puzzle, like start small, start with one piece, and then just try and find another piece that can connect to that. Perhaps you have an idea, or you have the picture of where you want to go, but you have to start with one piece, one small piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. May I give one more advice?
Yeah.
A lot of people focusing the whole, to finish basically that what you started with, failure. We are scared of failing.
Exactly,
but
yes.
I wouldn't also say we should embrace failing, but I think instead of putting failure only into negative light, failure also means we learn something. And
for sure.
At the end of the day, we human beings are here to learn and grow. And that is how then we also succeed. So taking whatever we can, taking everything with us. And yeah, sometimes it means realizing after 3 months of cycling that is not what I want to do. But for me, I learned so much from it, also about myself, which helped me then to also go maybe the right career path, or the career path than what I feel fulfilling.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, I guess success and failure come hand in hand. You can't achieve what you think is success without some degree of failure. I don't know. That's my take on it. Because you need to accept that there's some things that will not go to plan. There's some things that will just not happen in order for you to get to that end goal, perhaps. Yeah, that's my take. I don't know what you think of it, but yeah.
No, but Pedro, but I believe everyone has to also has a personal takeaway from that. As we also said, success is so personal. So the advice is also defining what your own purpose is and what your own success is, and then go that way.
Exactly.
Enjoy life. Enjoy the way.
So I guess that's well. Now is the as good as time as any to ask you, what does success look like to you?
Really, actually, learning and growing. So I really live that by what I'm also saying. I see every opportunity. I'm a very curious person. Sometimes I feel like, those little kids in a sandbox, and just want to try out everything. Sometimes I feel that way. I get easily bored by. For me, it's almost like I want to sometimes see where the walls are, where are the boundaries in that sense, and seeing which way can I go. And that makes life, I think, also so exciting. I love seeing new things, discovering. And for me, I don't see it per se as failure, but more or less like, okay, an opportunity to learn. And when you're going through like this, it's not about courage anymore, because you don't think about, oh, should I do it or not? You just do it. And you don't ask yourself anymore if you have the courage to go for something.
Very good. There's a lesson there, what you just said. You can, there's something for people to understand the fact that you need to change your mindset to see it as an opportunity, and think of it as a choice that you actively take into stepping out of your comfort zone, or like you said, exploring, taking a new route, going and finding out what is out there that you don't know. I wanted to finish with kind of the tradition that I started on the podcast, which is every guest leaves a question to my next guest, not knowing who the next guest will be. So the question that I was left for you is the following: what scares you the most, and what are you doing about it?
I think I actually answered that already in my previous statement. I think not growing and not learning would scare me. Standing still. Not being able to move, basically physically and mentally. That would scare me. And how I go against it, just discover, learn, try out new routes.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Now is your turn to put someone else on the spot. What would you like to ask and for my next guest?
How they build up courage to go for their goals.
Okay. That's a very good question, Monika. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your insights. Yeah, it's been a pleasure learning from you. And how can people learn more about your journey, your challenges?
First of all, thank you very much for really having me, Pedro. It was very interesting. On my website, monikasattler.com, Monika with a K. I'm on Instagram with @Monika, also with a K, or on LinkedIn. Those are usually the 3 channels where I'm the most active.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
What a brilliant conversation with Monika. Her story vividly illustrates how redefining failure, embracing challenges, and maintaining a focused mindset can lead to extraordinary achievements. Before you go, please remember to review the podcast wherever you listen to. Your reviews will help me grow the podcast and bring you amazing guests. Remember to tune in to next week's episode where Monika's question will be answered by my next guest. Until then, thanks for listening.